So now I'm just going to hold down the spacebar key and move over to my second artboard. I'm going to go to my layer panel, create a new layer, and this time I'm going to name this one blend modes, right? And we can actually lock the previous layer just so we know we're not going to draw anything on top of it. So in this one, I'm going to start off exactly the same. I'm just going to bring back my guides, hold down Command and semicolon. I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, draw my background shape. And this time I'm going to fill it with a different color scheme. So in my color panel, I'm just going to click on these two arrows here until it sort of expands. And what I'm going to do is enter in my CMYK values here. So for this one, I'm going to type in 12, hit the tab key to jump to the next field, 6, 16, and 0. Okay, so that's the color scheme that I have working here. And then I'm going to grab my type tool. I'm just going to click once, and I'm going to type out the word graphic. Again, I'll make this be around 200 points for now. But what I want to do is make this in uppercase letters. So I'm going to go up to my type menu, and then I'll go down to change case and select uppercase. So now what I want to do with this example is actually separate each character so that I can move them around or scale them or change their position, rotate them, whatever I want to do with them. So to do that, we can actually create these letters into outlines. And what that does is basically applies anchor points to each of the characters as if it is a compound shape or as if we drew it with the pen tool. So to do that, we just have to have our text frame selected. I can go up to my type menu, and then I can go down here and select create outlines or shift command O or shift control O on a Windows machine. I'm just going to click on that. And then it applies anchor points around all of these. If I look into my layer panel, we can see it automatically groups each letter individually. So what I'm going to do is ungroup these so that I can move them around. So to ungroup it, I can go to my objects menu, and then I can select ungroup or shift command G or shift control G on a Windows machine. And then they're ungrouped right now. So now what I'm going to do is select some of these letters and I'm going to make them overlap each other. So before I do that, I'm going to change their colors for each actual letter. So here, I'm going to fill in each letter with a different color. So the G, we're going to actually select the magenta color, right? Or we can go up to our color panel and type in these values. So magenta is just 100% magenta and 0 for all the rest. I'll select R, and that's going to be this blue right here, which is cyan, and that is 100% cyan, 0 magenta, 0 yellow, and 0 black. The A is going to be yellow, which again is 100% yellow, and 0 values for the rest. The P, I'll actually make this lime green color right here, which is 50% cyan, 100% yellow, and 0 for the rest. The H, I'll actually make this H one of these purple colors here, like in this color group. And then the I, I'll maybe make that orange. And the C, I'll just make that cyan again. So now what I'm going to do is just make these characters overlap each other a bit. So what you could do is just move them across. All right, I'm going to select P, H, I, and C. And I'm going to move them down below and also make those sort of overlap a bit. I'll hold Shift to also deselect a letter that I don't want to have selected. And again, as you're dragging these, you can hold the Shift key to keep them in line with one another. So I'll hold Shift to deselect the H. Then make that maybe just overlap just a little bit. And then have the C overlap as well. So I'll now select these top letters. And if I select them, you'll see my bounding box shows up. So now I can hover over one of these corner points and just click and drag upwards just to scale it up just a little bit. Right, and I can just maybe like nudge them down a little bit here as well. And now I'm going to select each letter. And then what I can do is just maybe align a portion of these letters right to my grid. So again, when you're using your rule of thirds, these are your focal points. So wherever these intersecting lines are. So what I'll do is maybe make my focal point right near the bottom of the G. And then I'll just scale this up. Right, until I get some of the focal points in there. And then lastly, what I want to do is actually have these blend into each other. So I'm going to use a blend mode in Illustrator. And to use the blend mode, you can actually find them within your transparency panel. So if I look to my transparency panel, you'll see right now it says normal. So what we're going to do to make these colors interact with one another is change my blend mode from normal to multiply. When I select multiply, you'll see that these colors start to mix with one another. So I'm just going to hide my guides, and this is how these particular colors blend in with one another. So the yellow and blue create green, the magenta and blue create this purplish color or this purplish blue color, right? So we get some interesting sort of color schemes here. So now again, I'm just going to select all my letters. I'll bring my guides back up, and I kind of just want this maybe just a little bit smaller. This looks a little bit too big for me. So I'll have these focal points around these characters here. I can maybe choose to move some of my letters just a little bit if I find that I just want to tweak them just a bit. Maybe they're overlapping too much or not enough. So again, you can just fine tune this anyhow you like. And then you can select all your characters and group them together. And also we can align these to maybe the center of our artboard. So in my control panel, I also have shortcuts to my align panel here. But again, you can also find that from your window menu and select align. And I'm just going to align that to the center here of my artboard. Again, I could take my type tool and just click once, change my font size to 18, to Helvetica Light, change the color to white, and we can type out blend modes and transparencies with Adobe Illustrator. So white is a bit faint, so we'll maybe change that to black. Or maybe we can have it right below, just within that focal point area like that. So maybe just optically, I'll just kind of nudge this over. Maybe I don't want it directly centered to the page. And that looks a bit better to me. Okay, so again, I'll save my file. Now I've grouped all my items here. I can collapse this. Now I can move on to the next example, which is to use the type on a path and transform and scale tools.